like books.
Books are great.
Guess we'll read some books.
Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen ground swell under it, and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repair, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have that rabbit out of hiding, to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line, and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each. And some are loaves, and some are so nearly balls. We have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game. One on a side, it comes to little more. There is where we do not need the wall. He is all pine, and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines. I tell him, he only says good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I'd built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down, I could say. Elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top. In each hand, like an old stone savage armed, he moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only and the shade of trees. He will not go beyond his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors.
So what does that mean?
This is a poem by Robert Frost.
I guess he does not like boundaries? He does not like fences?
It's not that he doesn't like them. If he didn't like them, he wouldn't be helping his neighbor repair them. I think he just questions them. Like, what is their purpose? Yeah.
Okay.
Which is good. Give some careful thought to your ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's the purpose of this wall? And why does a good fence make a good neighbor? What's the connection there?
I don't know. Let's find out together.
Anyway, this is a poem on boundaries by Robert Frost. Welcome back to Boundaries, Chapter 2?
Yes, this is Chapter 2.
Okay, where were we? We had a bunch of blue stuff at the bottom. There we go.
Perpetual pain or irresponsibility.
That's right.
Good in, bad out. We read that.
Okay, page
and
32,
then we looked at
we're
the
done.
picture.
For example, if I find some pain or sin within, I need to open up and communicate it to God. Oh yeah, we're talking about good boundaries and bad boundaries. Mm-hmm. Here we are. Poison me on the inside.
And what is good is on the outside. We need to open our gates and let it in. Jesus speaks of this phenomenon in receiving him and his truth. Other people have good things to give us, so we need to open up to them. Often we will close our boundaries to good things from others, staying in a state of deprivation. In short, boundaries are not walls. They're not that last picture that we showed you on the far right. The Bible does not say that we are to be walled off from others. In fact, it says that we need to be one with them. We are to be in community with them. But in every community, all members have their own space and their own property and their own Jerrys who nobody wants to hang out with. The important thing is that property lines be permeable enough to allow passing and strong enough to keep out danger.
And that we all ditch Jerry at the same time.
Don't actually ditch anyone that you know named Jerry.
Often when people are abused while growing up, they reverse the function of boundaries and keep the bad in and the good out. When Mary was growing up, she suffered abuse from her father. She was not encouraged to develop good boundaries. As a result, She would close herself off, holding the pain inside. She would not open up to express her hurt and get it out of her soul. She also would not open up to let any support from the outside in to heal her. In addition, she would continually allow others to dump more pain into her soul. Consequently, when she came in for help, she was carrying quite a lot of pain, still being abused, and walled off from support from the outside. She had to reverse the ways her boundaries worked. She needed fences where they were strong enough to keep the bad out and gates in those fences to let out the bad already in her soul and to let in the good she desperately needed.
No.
God and boundaries.
God and boundaries. The concept of boundaries comes from the very nature of God. God defines himself as a distinct, separate being, and he is responsible for himself.
Mm-hmm.
He defines and takes responsibility for his personality by telling us what he thinks, feels, plans, will not allow, likes, and dislikes. He also defines himself as separate from his creation and from us. He differentiates himself from others. He tells us who he is and who he is not. For example, he says that he is love, and he is not darkness. He's more than just love. That's an important point, but we've talked about that before. In addition, he has boundaries within the Trinity. The Father, the Son, and the Spirit are one. But at the same time, they are distinct persons with their own boundaries. Each one has his own personhood and responsibilities, as well as the connection and love for one another. Although, don't think about it too long or your brain will hurt.
God also limits what he will allow in his yard. He confronts sin and allows consequences for behavior. He guards his house and will not allow evil things to go down there. He invites people in who will love him, and he lets his love flow outward to them at the same time. The gates of his boundaries open and close appropriately. In the same way, he gave us his likeness. He gave us a personal responsibility within limits. He wants us to rule and subdue the earth and to be responsible stewards over the life he has given us. To do that, we need to develop boundaries like God's.
Examples of boundaries. Thank you. Now we're starting to get practical stuff. Boundaries are anything that helps to differentiate you from someone else or shows where you begin and end. Here are some examples of boundaries. Your skin.
The most basic boundary that defines you is your physical skin. People often use this boundary as a metaphor for saying that their personal boundaries have been violated. He really gets under my skin. Your physical self is the first way that you learn you are separate from others. As an infant, you slowly learn that you are different from your mother or father who cuddles you. The skin boundary keeps the good in and the bad out. It protects your blood and bones, holding them on the inside and all together. It also keeps germs outside, protecting you from infection. At the same time, skin has openings that let good in, like food, and bad out, like poop.
Yes, waste products. We all know what you mean, Cloud. Just say it, poop.
It's poop.
It's poop. Poop is funny. Victims of physical and sexual abuse often have a poor sense of boundaries. Early in life, they were taught that their property did not really begin at their skin. Others could invade their property and do whatever they wanted. As a result, they have difficulty establishing boundaries later in life.
Words. Wards?
Warts.
Wards?
Didn't you just make a beer wart?
Wards.
Warts.
In the physical world, a fence or some other kind of structure usually delineates a boundary. In the spiritual world, fences are invisible. Nevertheless, you can create good protective fences with your words. The most basic boundary setting word is no.
No. No. Yeah,
No.
Maria, no.
Yeah, no.
I said no.
No. I don't think it'll let me highlight just one. There, yeah, well.
No.
No.
In Japanese, it's a little, no simple. Well, I have to draw it out for you. If we can point out by your.
No.
No. Yeah. It's a Japanese letter. Todori no Totoro. It lets others know that you exist. Ow! You just violated the personal boundary of my skin.
of your personal space with a pillow.
And that you are in control of you. Being clear about your no and your yes is a theme that runs throughout the Bible. No, I do not like it when you throw the pillow at me. No is a confrontational word. The Bible says that we are to confront people that we love, saying, no, that behavior is not okay. I will not participate in your cookie throwing, even though you've got it weird and looking at me. I will not participate in that. The word no is also important in setting limits on abuse. Many passages in Scripture urge us to say no to the other's sinful treatment of us.
The Bible also warns us against giving to others reluctantly or under compulsion.
People with poor boundaries struggle with saying no to the control, pressure, demands, and sometimes the real needs of others. They feel that if they say no to someone, they will endanger their relationship with that person, so they passively comply but inwardly resent.
Passively comply but inwardly resent. Bang on, right there.
If you catch yourself doing that, then you've got a problem. Sometimes it's just a problem where you need to work on your priorities, but it's a boundary issue.
They feel as if they say no to someone, they will endanger the relationship with that person. So they passively comply but inwardly resent. Sometimes a person is pressuring you to do something. Other times the pressure comes from your own sense of what you should do. If you cannot say no to this external or internal pressure, you have lost control of your property and are not enjoying the fruit of self-control.
Go ahead.
Your words also define your property for others as you communicate your feelings, intentions, or dislikes. It is not difficult for people to know where you stand when you do not use words to define your property.
I think you stuck a knot in there and you didn't
need to. It is difficult for people to know where you stand when you do not use words to define your property. See, I did not use my words right, and it was difficult for people to understand.
Exactly.
God does this when he says, I like this and I hate that. Or I will do this and I will not do that. Your words let people know where you stand and thus give them a sense of the edges that help identify you. Karen, I need to identify your edges. Come over here.
Oh gosh,
so I can identify your edges.
I think you've already identified my edges.
I want to identify your edges some more. Let's make sure they're still the same. I don't like it when you yell at me. Gives people a clear message about how you conduct relationships and let them know the rules of your yard.
Well, hopefully if I do enough CrossFit, my edges will change and you'll have to re-identify them.
Gladly.
Yes.
Take a shower first. Truth. Knowing the truth about God and his property puts limits on you and shows you his boundaries. What was that? Oh, Christmas Vacation thing. The couple. No, Margot. When they come home from like exercising with their silver jumpsuits.
Those things really did exist at some point, but they caused overheating, really, and sent people to the hospital and things.
Well, they were running in the middle of winter.
Well, yes, but still. Those suits that help you, like, increase your body heat to an unnatural level do cause some serious medical problems. Truth. That is truth. Knowing the truth about God and his property puts limits on you and shows you his boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing the truth of his unchangeable reality helps you to define yourself in relation to him. Helps you to DTR, define the relationship. When he says that you will reap what you sow, words again. For example, you can either define yourself in relation to that reality, or continue to get injured if you try to go against it. Don't even think about it.
To be in touch with God's truth is to be in touch with reality. To live in accord with that reality makes for a better life. Satan is the great distorter of reality. He's the king of lies.
Mm-hmm.
Lies. Recall in the garden when he tempted Eve to turn the page. To question God's boundaries and his truth. The consequences were disastrous. Greg!
Yeah?
I'm going to look forward and I want you to cut this part of the video out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so we've got... Wow. Okay, so we got enough for probably 2 more episodes, actually. Alright, Greg. Yeah, there we are, right there. Okay, Greg, cut to this point. Ready? 3, 2, 1. The consequences were disastrous. There's always safety in the truth, whether it be knowing God's truth or knowing the truth about yourself. Many people live scattered and tumultuous lives, trying to live outside of their own boundaries, not accepting and expressing the truth of who they are. Honesty about who you are gives you the biblical value of integrity or oneness. Graphical distance.
Geographical distance. That makes a big difference.
Oh, okay. Well,
of the earth.
Let's make that big difference next time on We Read.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! This is the boundary. This is the end of the episode. And I'm going to enforce the boundary, see?
Yeah, I see you enforcing the boundary.
Let my yes
this
be yes.
This is going to be a running gag.
And my no be no.
I don't know if I like this gag.
One day it occurred to me that we watch way too much TV of video games and DVDs. While good and fun are just empty. About that time Karen came to me and she confessed that she'd like us to read, and for our family's sake she began to plead. And since I can't get by on my looks, we agreed and said,
let's go read some books.